good.
Okay, we got the panel, got everyone in here today.
The panel.
All right, so, all right, everybody tell me where you're from. I'm going to start with Jess.
Okay, Jess Owens. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. The accent came out. It came out, sorry.
DJ Sean Don or Donnie. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
My name's Unique Jordan. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
And I am Bradley Otis Chambers Jr., America's
Period.
sweetheart.
Oh.
And I'm from the 202,
Okay,
Washington,
202.
D.C. finest.
Okay, so today we're covering intersectionality. I'm glad everyone came. I know everyone traveled from far and near, high Uber rates and everything else. So, we had to get it where we could.
Yeah.
What do you guys do? Tell me about your jobs. This is what pays me.
So, what pays the bills is I'm a receptionist at a country club downtown in Montgomery.
Okay.
And I'm also doing a little bit of marketing there as well. So, social media ads, member relations type of stuff. That's what pays the bills. Not long term, though.
Okay, what's the culture like on that side?
Oh, it's interesting. So, it's always been rich, upper echelon white folks.
Okay.
It has changed a little bit in dynamic, as Montgomery has changed a little bit in dynamic. It's not as Caucasian anymore. It's actually more black now.
Okay.
And more democratic. So you have a lot more younger minds coming in, a little bit more open thinkers.
When you say younger minds, what age are we talking? What do you define as younger on that side?
Mid-20s, early 30s, even to mid-30s. So, not 80, 85, which was really the climate at first. But it's a nice, diverse atmosphere now. Not as diverse as it should be.
Okay.
But we're heading that direction.
Okay.
I do feel like that.
Okay. All right.
I am a product marketing manager, and I also DJ.
Okay, DJ.
Yes.
Okay, product.
Also, I founded a mental health nonprofit. Sort of like the Self Juice. It's called Louder, specifically for women in the entertainment industry.
Oh,
Absolutely.
nice.
Yes.
And what's the purpose of your brand?
My brand itself.
Well, in terms of Louder.
Oh, in terms of Louder.
Yes.
Louder's purpose is to just be a mental health awareness advocate for every woman in entertainment. So whether you are a chef, a dancer, screenwriter, director, any aspect of entertainment, that's what it's for. It's to advocate for those women to get in these spaces and to bring ourselves to the table or create our own.
Okay. If you don't mind, what inspired the creation of?
I am always surrounded by so many talented black women in general, but mostly black women.
Yeah.
All of my friends, they really inspired me. I would honestly say just becoming into the entertainment industry, I felt that need to have friends who I could lean on, or just that mental health support when invoices weren't getting paid, or figuring out what to do next or how to make the next move within the entertainment industry without selling ads.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So that's what really inspired it, my friends.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Unique.
Hey. Still trying to get my mind together, but I am a mental health therapist. I am serving Black and brown folks, mainly in Virginia. That's where I'm licensed. This has been, a ride for me. I'm almost coming up on my year anniversary of being in private practice.
Okay, congrats.
So,
Survive
Survive COVID. It's a whole thing. So, a lot within that sector.
By way of Midwest.
So,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that my clients love me. They appreciate my authenticity, my rawness, my just overall care and concern, and the fact that I specifically work within our population. It's like, okay, she understands the assignment. Okay. So that's what I'm doing in these streets.
Okay. What encouraged the creation of the
Oh,
practice?
Lord Jesus. Okay.
Oh, yeah. We here today.
We got time.
Yeah.
Okay.
On a Saturday.
Yes, on a good Saturday. Well, I was working as a counselor in a crisis center in Fairfax, Virginia, primarily white populated. And I know this is probably a lot of people's inspiration, but specifically for me, when George Floyd killing happened, there was a lack of support from my white counterparts. And again, I am serving communities and, you know, trying to work through my own traumas, and there was just no conversation about like, how are you doing? What's going on? Do you need a space to talk? So basically, I just went the fuck off at work, and
No, that's real.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
real.
I went off. I went
Yeah.
off. And it wasn't expected because for me, I'm more like low key chill. I've always had multiple jobs, so you know, for me to I did my job, but I did jobs while at work.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you know how it is.
I got you.
Yeah. So like I said, I was just more so like focused to myself, but when I spoke out in the way that I did, it was like, oh, maybe we should do something. But over time, I mean, pretty much God just told me that you're going to leave your job. And I said, oh, okay, that's funny. And I, you know, segued into private practice. I was doing that part-time. But essentially, after just not receiving the support that I needed and the support that I felt like my community needed, I said, I'm out.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing.
As a therapist, with that lack of support within that community as you work there, let's dissect that. For a second. I want us to touch on
Okay,
that.
let me sip my coffee.
Because everyone's job who's in that room is to take care of someone else's trauma, to acknowledge what's going on, and to give the best suggestions on how it could either cope or move towards a better direction.
Right.
When you saw your colleagues and the people in those rooms not have the same idea and sentiment for people they worked with, how did that feel?
It felt extremely neglectful. One, as counterparts of being in the psychology field, social workers, counselors, the fact that you couldn't turn the lens to your own colleagues who you have conversations with about everything under the sun, cats, dogs, sex, anal, like all kinds of things we're talking about, right? But we can't talk about my identity. We can't talk about how these social injustices impact me as an individual on a real personal level outside of the shits and giggles and surface level stuff. Like I said, that was just neglectful for me in terms of being a professional. But again, like I said, on that person-to-person level, we spend 12.5 hours together. In each other's spaces. Overnight shifts, like, you know, really in the trenches with one another, but it didn't translate when it came to these issues. So, dismissive, neglectful, ignorant, Chill, wait a minute. Okay. This is a space or a topic that I still don't process.
Take your time.
I know. Yeah.
Take your time.
No, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm not about to sit here. But it was a lot. It was a lot. And I just, looked at the grand scheme of things. And like I said, in the area that I was in and saw the lack of representation. So I said, I'm done serving white people.
Are you ready to go?
There. I'm there with
Let me move along. Okay. So, and that's where I am. And even when I initiated private practice on a part-time level, just the outpouring was like it's still overwhelming, to this day. Yeah, we have a lot of talks. And, sorry for the folks that I haven't reached out to that reached out to me. I'm overwhelmed, but, I try to, my wait list is like ridiculous. But, even within that just let me know that my presence was needed. And what's so funny is before I left, and I love him, he was one of my white counterparts, one of my supervisors. He was like, do you think that you're going to get these clients? And I said, he was, he's in private practice too. Yeah. So he, understood. Right. The concern was real. But like I said, he's been very supportive. But I said to him, yeah, there's people that's waiting for me. Like, I know this. And like I said, it just came into fruition. And I'm grateful. I'm humbled. It's been a ride, but nonetheless, like, I would not, change my decision. he's in private practice too,
Yeah.
so he,
concern
understood.
was real.
Right, the concern was
Yes.
real. But like I said, he's been very supportive. But I said to him, I said, yeah, there's people that's waiting for me. Like, I know this. And like I said, it just came into fruition. And I'm grateful. I'm humbled. But it's been a ride. But nonetheless, like, I would not, change my decision. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'll do it.
And I've seen
Sooner.
you do a great job.
Thank you.
I've seen you do a great job.
trying.
The project I announced, the Hug a Homie campaign with Sean Cooper made in the DMV, the reason I wanted you to answer that question is a lot of folks, since we've made the announcement of trying to raise $30,000
Yes.
to like cover people's therapy,
Yes.
they're like, well, why don't you just go do it? And I'm like, no, we need a foundation of therapists because
Yeah.
therapists can only serve the states that they're certified
Yes.
for.
Right.
So Virginia, DC, Maryland,
Maryland, we all
and
need
right
different.
now our focus is we need to build up literally a fleet of therapists. So
Yes.
I would need 10 therapists per state to start
Yes.
the project outside of raising funds so
Right.
everyone's paid and everyone can be covered by therapists.
Yes.
And I don't want to burn out the therapists.
Yes.
Because like whatever sessions everybody gets, it's about the quality of the therapist that they're sitting with. And if I put you in a room full of therapists who are burnt out, you're not going to get the service you deserve. And that's
Right.
important.
Yes.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Bradley, what's up, man? What's good,
Oh,
New York?
man.
Can I say that to you now? 'Cause, huh?
You can. You can say a lot of things to me now. It actually feels really good to be home. I haven't been home since I actually started this job, so I'm excited.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome
Thank
back. Tell us
you.
about what you do. Tell us about that check or those checks.
So what pays the bills is I am a testing and navigations coordinator.
Okay.
For a harm, for a harm reduction nonprofit.
Okay.
Are you guys familiar with
Tell us.
harm? Okay,
Tell us,
so
yeah.
the harm reduction is called NYRE, so New York Harm Reduction Educators. So what we do is we have a SEP program so people can come and exchange their syringes. We have a safer injection bathroom that people can use safely. We're also trained in overdose reversals. Man, the list goes on and on. We have a medical clinic. Even if they don't have health insurance, they can still see a doctor. They can get wound care there. We have case managers. We have a therapist if they need it. We have holistics. They can get acupuncture. We just have so much. But my main role is just to making sure that I'm meeting them where they are. So I'm not always in the building where we're in. I'm more outside. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but I'm on 125th in Harlem. I'm under the bridges. I'm at the parks. I'm out late night, early mornings. I've been doing this work for the last 5 years, and I'm super, super passionate about it. One of the things that I always tell people is this is not a 9 to 5 to me. I was volunteering way before I was paid to do this. When I met Juice, I worked at a dry cleaners. When I met a lot of other people, I worked at Hot Topic as a manager.
We also live together.
Yeah, so I've worked at Nordstrom's, gyms. I worked a lot of places that did not line up with what I was supposed to do in life. So I'm super, super enthusiastic about this. So yeah.
Okay, shout out to you. Would you like to let the people know about your job in DC that you did also? Because you have history.
Oh man, so it's so crazy. So first let's start with all the jobs I volunteered for. So I used to volunteer in a soup kitchen called Some in Northwest, so others may eat.
Yes.
That's where I started at. Then I started to volunteer for different organizations, the Human Rights Campaign, this great organization in DC called GMHC, the Gay Men's Health Collaborative. That's where I actually got certified to be a HIV tester. Did a lot of community outreach. I've actually learned who I am today. I owe a huge part for these gentlemen. More so my two friends, Strawberry and Dwight.
The other Dwight.
Yes.
I'm like you.
Yes.
Yeah, I owe them a lot. After that, I worked at Smile, which advocates for homeless LGBT youth. I was just so passionate about my work. I actually wanted to go to Peace Corps. I was going to go to Peace Corps, but then Corona happened. And then I was sitting in the house and I realized that I am not healed from a lot of family trauma. And I cannot heal in this space. Not that anybody in the house was causing trauma, but I just realized that there's a lot of things that I need to work on outside of the house. So a friend was like, yo, I'm moving and I have this space you can stay in. For 3 months, then you gotta go. But then 3 months turned into a year. So I moved to New York and I continued the work. I went to New York with the idea of being a super activist and learning from a major city what I can learn from them. Woo!
Take your time. Go ahead.
Living in New York, there's nothing like it. It's a beautiful city. Nonprofits in New York are a different thing, and I never realized white privilege until I moved to New York now almost a year ago. So like navigating them spaces as all that I am intersected with.
Give us an example of privilege.
Well, one, at work, senior leadership sits upstairs and look at numbers all day. And then they tell me what they think I should do for my community. And I'm like, I'm out here in the trenches. This doesn't work for me, and I'm not gonna do it tomorrow either. So, so it's just been a lot of pushback and a lot of, Bradley, this is who you are, and it's not working for us. And I'm like, yeah, but it works for my community. So, and if we're looking at numbers, the numbers show I'm working. So don't tell me what to do in my community.
Yes, because that is your community.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm always filled with so much gratitude that I can sit in this space with like beautiful people who do the work. It's just a beautiful thing, and I'm just so glad that I can do it. And then even the people I come in contact with daily know that I'm here to do it, because I work with like, I went from working with younger kids who are like, fuck this guy, like he think he know everything, to working with like much older people who have like been using substance since the 80s, who are like, yo, this guy's here to advocate for us and he shows up for us, and we only known him for a short period of time, but here he is. And like they're like literally saying like, I love you, Bradley. And I'm like, I love you too. And like, I love you as a human being, and I see you and I'm meeting you where you are, and I'm here for you.
Yes.
We might not always see eye to eye, and you might cuss me out, and I'm gonna cuss you the fuck out, but my door is always open for you guys.
Yeah, and always honest. Always honest.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think this is a good starting point. Community. So, how would you guys identify yourself within your community? We're gonna start with Jess. This is gonna be the rotation.
I guess you're right.
My dad growing up was always community man. He was always the community association president. He was always the one cleaning up in the neighborhoods. Like, he always was big on that from the beginning with me.
Yes.
So giving back and putting something back in the community, that was always taught from day one with me. And so when I look at my community, I know I'm not the best at everything, and I know like what I can give. I'm not gonna be the one to tell you not to drink. That's just not me. I'm not gonna be the one to tell you not to smoke weed. That's not gonna be me either. However, when I look at the youth around, and when I look at even my peers around, it's okay to say, yeah, go to therapy, go get some help. Hey, it's okay to be a little bit more open-minded. It's 2021. People are gay. That's fine. It's really not a big deal. And it's okay to stand up against them and, acknowledge that I understand that it is ignorance. And ignorance, in a way, it is what it is. You don't know better. Like, you truly don't know better. But if I'm giving you the opportunity, and vice versa, if I get the opportunity to learn something as well, then to take the opportunity to learn, because that's what we're all here for, is to learn and to grow. So before COVID hit,
A faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here, together with you.
for is to learn and to grow. So before COVID hit,
Yes.
I was working with the Y with a youth program, basically helping a lot of underserved communities, high school students with ACT, SAT, college applications. Unfortunately, the Y is already broke, and then COVID said, "Oh no, girl, y'all really ain't got no money." So about 70% of us got laid off.
Okay.
But I kept in touch with my students. I still keep in touch with them. They call me every now and then, and Miss Jess, I did this in college. Good for you, baby. I'm glad to hear it. All of them, we have 100% graduation rate.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it is. That's where I find my focus at with kids and even with my peers.
Is that rate that you mentioned significant when it comes to the state of Alabama?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell me why.
Especially when we're talking about public education. And there are different facets, even with public education. We have the magnet program in Alabama, which is a big thing. And that's a little less staggering. But if you're just talking about traditional public schools,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a number, but it is significantly lower.
Okay.
And that is because when you're talking about these traditional schools, these are black and brown kids. The white kids in Montgomery, or I will even dare say Alabama, they go to more of the private institutions or even the magnet schools.
Yeah.
Or if they moved out into the counties where they have
Their public
those,
schools are very
right,
different.
much
Yes.
different. Pike
Their
Road
public
is
schools.
like 10 minutes from Montgomery. And
Can we
it's,
get an example? So you got distance in terms of 10
Right.
minutes, but tell me.
okay.
You guys can both do this because
Right.
this is
Well,
like
it's
the
an
both of you
Alabama
guys.
thing.
Yeah, it is an
Well,
Alabama
in
thing.
essence, like if you would think about in DC, so you know how you guys have multiple high schools like all on the same street. It would be literally one block over, where it's like a drastic difference in learning standards, a drastic difference in resources given to students, even all the way down to sports and extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Like
Funding.
I'm a product of Birmingham City Public Schools,
Okay.
and I'm proud of it.
Okay.
But I also, when I was in high school, we had the chance to do like a swap day, so where the hood kids get to go to the rich white school and see how they do. And I went to like Mountain Brook High School, and yeah,
I'm familiar.
I
Yeah.
went to Mountain Brook High School, and I was just flabbergasted. I was like mind fucked at the level of access that they had. Like everything that they were learning in the 9th grade, I didn't learn until the 12th grade, probably even freshman year of college.
Wow.
So it was like total disconnect, and it's less than, I would say less than 6 miles away.
Yeah.
And less than 6 miles means 12 minutes in Alabama.
In Alabama,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
6 miles here might mean 45
Right.
minutes. No, Alabama, that's
I seen
a
y'all
12
traffic.
minute. Yes, it's a 12-minute drive,
Yeah.
and it's a major difference.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then with the zoning systems, it's just about where the money's going.
Yeah.
Pike Road, they're funded just like she said. It might be 6 miles away or whatever, but if we have all this money and all the alumni at this school are like, oh, we're gonna make sure you have all the brand new textbooks. It's that difference in levels of what kid can get and what other kid can.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be able to go to magnet school. My mom was not having it any other way, but I was not ignorant to the fact that my counterparts at the other schools did not have the same opportunities as me.
Yeah, and these programs that you guys went to, that gave you a chance to remove the veil in terms of how the lives intersect.
Absolutely.
Because you got to see
Yes.
the other side that you weren't aware of until that program. Because if that
Yes.
program never existed,
That's true.
would you guys have that experience? It could be a yes or a no.
Yes and no.
That's what I was just about to say. Yes
you
and no.
can still have the experience. Like
Mhm.
my parents do this all the time. They lie about where your kids live to send them to a better school.
And that happens a lot.
Or you'll have, like, for me in Birmingham City Schools, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a program that allowed me to get college credits while I was still in high school. So I'm already coming into college as a sophomore versus a freshman. So there are programs, there used to be, I'm not going to say that there still is.
Oh yeah.
There were programs that allowed you to kind of close that gap, the achievement gap,
Right.
but I don't think it still exists today.
Tell me about this achievement gap. That's a word that I don't hear used quite a lot.
Achievement gap in education is kind of like how would you put it? So the achievement gap is basically how a student is defined by in success rates. So like if you have a close or closed achievement gap, that means that the child is going to go to college and he's going to like pour back into society and create more funds for that community. But if you have a wide achievement gap to where there's a disconnect and students are like the pipeline of prison for black males, that widens the achievement gap for students in that community.
Okay. This is my first time hearing that word.
Huh.
Yeah, so thank you.
I work in education, so.
I appreciate that. Okay, so how would you guys identify within your communities when it comes to being black?
For me, my intersectionality is a black woman. That's two in itself, and then I'm also a lesbian. So that's another layer. And I'm also like a product of city schools. That's another layer. And then I was also a ward of the state, which many people don't know. That's a foster youth in schools. So that's another layer. So that's like 4 different levels of intersectionality for me.
Okay.
In my community.
Okay. Unique.
Yes. So many. I'm trying to like process everything. My brain is okay. But for me, in terms of like how I identify, and I was thinking about this on a drive here. I'm like, do I want to change how I identify myself? Listen, because. But anyways, just off top, I identify as a black woman. I do sometimes interchange it with an African American woman, but I think primarily I use black woman. Similar, with socioeconomic status, being from the south side of Chicago, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, don't. Don't let the cute braids fool you now, okay? Yes. Last name is Jordan now. But anyways, and first name Unique, so somebody had to figure it out. But anyways, but no, just being from the south side of Chicago and, my mother, having to use food stamps and, food stamps was the throwback word, but, now we into EBTs. But I was the product of like, I got to pull this stamp book out and I have to present this to a cashier, you know what I mean? And even just like the stigma associated with that, like that was, a lot growing up. But, speaking to what Jess was saying earlier, in my community, I'm really, really big on outreach. Anybody that knows me or who has encountered me knows that I'm like an open book, transparent, like, hey, if you need this resource, let me know. Although you may not be my client, I may not be servicing you, but still, if you got a question, still approach me, Folks know I'm on Instagram and
you want to do the plug?
I'll do that later.
I'll do that later. Cool. Just have to be short.
Yeah. But yeah, on Instagram, like this is a free service that I'm giving folks in terms of like coming on, giving videos and psychoeducational tips and motivational things. Like a lot of folks, let me not put any discredit to other people, but when it comes to content creating and actually putting up videos where you're, I'm not just putting out cute little, scriptures, words of the day. Like, I am really, really showing myself and saying, hey, let me give you this self-affirmation. Let me teach you how to do these things. Let me, again, that visibility. So, we just wrap it on up. We taking time?
We got time today.
This is the last panel for the month.
Yes, it is. Yes, let me get comfortable.
With a bang.
Yes. But it's just a lot that goes into my presence in the community and the impact that I want to have. So
what's the impact you would like to have?
What's the impact I would like to have? Just knowing that, one, you're not alone in your mental health concerns. Also understanding that despite your upbringings, because like I said, a lot of people, even some of my friends, honestly, will see me, know like, oh, she's successful, but don't know the trenches and all the traumas and, trudging I had to do to get to this space. So, just me being a representation of like, it doesn't matter where you've come from, you can still, however success looks to you, right? So it doesn't have to be, I'm doing Instagram lives or whatever brings fulfillment to your life.
Stay here, together with you.
all of the traumas and, you know, trudging I had to do to get to this space. So, you know, just me being a representation of like, it doesn't matter where you've come from, you know, you can still, however success looks to you, right? So it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm doing Instagram lives, but whatever brings fulfillment to your life, you know, like it's not cookie cutter, right? Yes, indeed. Everybody has a role and a purpose, you know, in terms of what they contribute. So the impact I would like to have is just for people to know that they are beautiful, they are gifted, and they can, again, have that sense of fulfillment in however that looks. So hopefully I've been facilitating that for my clients, you know. Yeah. And I was laughing earlier when you said like, oh, you gonna curse me? I don't curse my clients out. But no, you know what?
She keeps it very real.
Sometimes
keep
they
it
get
honest.
gutter. They get New
Yes,
York. They get
yes.
gutter with you.
No, I understand. I mean, I haven't, and I tell my clients all the time, like, if there's something that you don't agree with me on, you have a right to say that. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying is not necessarily Bible, you know? Like, you have to adjust that to how you talk, how you think, how you move, you know? So we, you know, have our back and forth sometimes. But again, this is just a collective space because, like I tell my clients, I'm a pit stop in your journey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not in your back pocket every day, as you know what I mean? Like, I give you what I can. We facilitate these discussions, and ultimately you have to be in the driver's seat in terms of like where you want the trajectory of your life to go. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think
Before you wrap this up, because you did a great job. You did a great job. I just want to let you know you did a great job. How have you guys had to shift your blackness in terms of where you guys have been from? Because for you, it's going from the DMV to New York. For you, it's Midwest to DC. And for you, it's Alabama to DC. And you guys have done well in your markets in terms of making an impact. Like, have you had to shift? Have you thought about it? Like, not just the way you talk about how you handle business, because business isn't the same across the board.
Is that to me?
It's for everyone.
Well, as personally speaking, for me, since coming from DC to New York, my blackness is in the forefront of everything I do now. Like, I come in there as a black with a capital B. I come in there as a gay man. I come in there with pronouns that are not to standards, to social standards. I come in there as a Jamaican.
Yes.
I come in there super confident and ready to just be like, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm also Jamaican.
Which is huge.
So you should probably listen to me. Because I was raised by several black women, so here I am in this room. And it's my blackness is very new to me. And because I feel like in DC, I took it for granted because I'm like from DC and I'm like having these conversations about like, oh, gentrification and the blog not the same and like, you know, families from the hood still in the hood. But when I went to New York, I'm just like, yo, like they let you know like you are black and this is your economic status. This is where you should live. And we don't want to hear nothing else from you. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what life is about. Like, life is not cookie cutter. Like, I do not subscribe to this bullshit. So, so everything I do is black. Plant care, black. Meditation, black.
All my plant babies are black.
And it's so funny because I was talking to a Latino guy who went to school in the Midwest, and he just was like, and we were having this conversation about like, oh, when I like look up things, I like literally type in like plant care for like black people, like, you know, and he's like, well, why do you have to do that? Because, you know, it's just as good as going to like white people for it. And I'm like, I'm rooting for everybody black. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm rooting for everybody black. And like, if that was what you should be asking is, why do you have to do that? Right. Why isn't that already a thing that like populates in like these search engines? Why aren't black people on the forefront just like white people, Asian people, Spanish people? I actually was really offended by that. I'm just like, why can't I just, I want my financial advisors to be black. I actually would prefer him to be from the hood, who have made it out the hood and like has made some really smart investments. Cause I'm like, yo, teach me. Like,
yeah, tell me about the finesse.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm really like, have y'all ever seen that movie when the guy's like, I'm black, yo, I'm black.
I'm
I've been listening to like, I've been listening to like Queen Latifah, Soul of a
Yes.
Sister. Like I be going to
Yes,
work
no
with
back.
like turbans
Yes,
on and like
love
all
it.
black, and they be like, oh, like what's going on with you? I'm like, nothing. Like
I'm living.
I'm
Yeah,
like everything at my
black.
desk is like black, LGBT, like very like centered as to who I am, and it feels really good. It
Even
feels
that seat cushion, yes.
it feels really good to like be black. Like I'm out here
It's
winning.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's so unfortunate that I had to move away from DC to realize that, but I'm also really grateful that I did have that, and now look at where I am. Like I'm even getting my godkids like just black books about Black Boy Joy, about
Absolutely,
their
yeah.
hair. I got my goddaughter these
Right. All the
these
children books makes me so happy.
Yeah, the representation.
Man, I got her these
matters.
beautiful flashcards of like black women from the Smithsonian Museum, and she's like, it makes me so happy that she's into it. And she's
Yeah.
like, who's this person and what does this person do? And I'm like, this is Aretha Franklin, and now we're gonna listen to some music by Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Nice. That's nice.
Anybody else have anything to add?
No, when you said, I can't remember specifically what the question was, but like how have you had to shift your blackness
You have to shift
in
your blackness.
spaces? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Just even in Chicago, there's so much segregation, and
Speak on that.
oh,
Yeah, now
child.
speak on it. I don't get to hear about this stuff unless I'm here.
Listen.
Yeah.
But I mean, essentially, white folks north side, black folks south side or west side. I mean, there has been, yes, there's been some gentrification going on in them terms of coming into our,
Of
communities. Yes. Yeah.
Now it's hood adjacent.
Right.
That's an intersectionality point.
Hey.
But adjacent. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the more you know.
No, you're good. No, you're good. We're here for this today.
Let me stop.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all caught me on a good Saturday. Okay. All right, I'm kind of off. But anyways, just for me, I've been blessed to be able to move into different sectors, right? So I would say, even within the counseling space, like where I was working, heavily populated with white folks, white administrators, white CEOs, so I didn't recognize then, because counseling has always been my path. So I've been doing this for like 10 plus years. I hardly ever strayed away from it. So, just thinking about all the little jobs that I've had. But essentially, I think it didn't hit me until, like, I really wasn't aware per se of how I was shifting my blackness in my 20s. I think it more so hit me in my 30s, where I was like, oh, I'm toning down, my tone. I'm not referencing the black shows that I watch. I have to be in the know with what they're watching to be a part of their conversations. You know what I mean? And honestly, like I said, now that I have removed myself, it's starting to come back to me more and more in terms of like how I have assimilated in those spaces, so that I could not seem threatening, so that I could look like, oh, okay, she can be, again, a part of our conversations, where we can promote her, like all these kinds of different dynamics. But, as we've been talking about, I am grateful to have those two sides of the coins, because I have more appreciation for where I am now and my agenda than I'm on now, because I'm like, okay, I can see just, again, the influential differences and environmental pressures, and I think it makes me even more relatable to my clients who are, are still in those spaces, because it's like, I get it. I understand imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? I still struggle with that. Even today, I was like,
I struggle with it so much in
oh,
New
yes.
York.
A video is coming, guys. A video is coming on my Instagram page. I've just been trying to work up to that. But essentially, imposter syndrome is more so, not to say everybody can experience it, but it's even more staggering for minorities. You're in spaces wherever you are, but you feel that sense of inferiority. Like, you always question yourself, like, oh, am I good enough? Did I get this promotion because I was at the right place at the right time?
A faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here
wherever you are, but you feel that sense of inferiority. Like you always question yourself, like, oh, am I good enough? Did I get this promotion because I was at the right place at the right time? Or I need to overachieve because otherwise they're going to find me out and think that, or find out that I'm not who I think that I am or who I said that I am. Just essentially disqualifying our unique qualities, our talents, our gifts due to all of these, systemic oppressive things. So like I said, even, to be a transparent moment, even, waking up this morning, I was like, oh, we're having this heavy conversation about.
Me too. I was on a train like, oh my God, me? You want me to talk about
Right.
what?
I was like, intersectionality. But, I said to myself, like, Unique, you know what you're doing. You've been doing this. So this is my self-affirmation that I had to pour back into myself. Like, in this, all together, collectively, I was like, Unique, you're in a safe space. Right. Yeah. I'm with my people, you know what I mean? And I can be me. If I don't know something, it's okay not to know, right? Versus, being in other settings where it's like, oh, if I don't know this thing, then I'm just deemed an idiot, you know what I mean? So just that was my transparency moment, but imposter syndrome is real. So like I said, going back to me being in those spaces where I had to shift my blackness to conform or to be, oh, child, hold on. I'm thinking about slavery. Because I be having flashes.
It's a nice point.
I be having flashes, child.
It's
For real. Yeah, absolutely. So, when I think about, like I said, me seeming like the non-threatening Black woman, like I said, just thinking about like our ancestors and our parents that have gone through, when you even look at music and looking at our style in terms of like how that has shifted, we went from like, oh, we're just, non-threatening, look at our smooth hair, you know what I mean, to like, nah, fuck this shit, we rocking our afros.
Yeah.
So,
That was good.
yeah.
That was good.
No.
I know it's a lot.
So
My
that's a
brain
nice
beats
point
a lot.
No, yeah,
It's
you
a
made
lot
some
of tabs,
really great
a lot of tabs
points.
open in his brain.
And just to piggyback on your
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, when I moved to New York, I felt it so much because I've always worked like level entry jobs. And then when I got this job, and I'm like, holy fuck, like,
It's real.
people like want me to do this thing that I've been doing forever, but like now, like, people are looking at me to see if I can really do it. And like, I'm like, relax, Bradley. Like,
Right, you got it.
You got it. Yeah, and I've been reading Miss Van Zandt, her daily affirmation for colored people every day, because I like really need that, like,
That grounding.
yeah, you got to go in there. And I haven't heard YouTube stories, but I'm sure you guys can code switch, which I admire because
Yes.
I have to.
The whole
Mine
room.
is
I
different from y'all.
cannot code switch at all.
Tell me about this. Though.
Yes, please
In
do.
Alabama,
let me switch.
like,
Yes.
we were kind of trained just to be like, okay, we're from the hood, so when you go into these white spaces, you got to switch it up a little. But when I moved to DC, I didn't have to do any of that. So I didn't have to code switch. Like, I was surrounded by so many, like, even growing up, like, when I started college, I've always been surrounded by Black women in power. So they always taught me, no, fuck these crackers, like, get your money, like, you don't have to tone it down or anything. So the more I grew in my professional career, like, the more I was able to just own who I am and not give a damn, because you're either gonna like it or you're not.
Yes.
Like, you're gonna change people or people change. You're gonna adapt to me, I'm not gonna adapt to you anymore. So when I moved to DC, it was like, I left the code switching back in Alabama. Like, I didn't have to do it anymore. I was surrounded by a lot of people of color who are in powerful positions. And the rooms that I'm going into, there are more Black people than white in some instances. So I didn't have to do that. But then there are some cases where if I feel like I have to code switch, then I'm going to just not talk.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That's
I get
interesting
so
point,
quiet.
Or I won't show up. I won't be
Or
there.
I won't be there. Yes.
Yeah.
If I feel like I have to code switch, I just won't do it.
Okay.
But that's something like for me, for somebody like me to look forward to, because I'm a single mom, and when I say a single mom, I mean single.
Single.
Like, daddy, only time he calls to get a piece of stimulus check every now and then. Of course, he gets a resounding
That's
no. But when I say it's me and that kid, that's it. So when I got laid off at the Y, I was unemployed for 8 months, and of course we had the stimulus to help us for the first few weeks. But after that, it's $250 a week. How am I gonna feed my kid? How am I going? So when I got the job that I'm at now, maybe a few weeks later, they were like, "Yeah, we're taking company photos, and we really need you to straighten your hair." And in my mind, that's it. It's over. I'm gone. But I didn't have that privilege to say I can walk away from this.
Yeah.
It was I got somebody to feed at home.
Yeah.
So it's kind of for
We
me
talk
right
about that at
now.
work all
You
the
kind of
time.
stay down until you can come up, right?
Yes.
So I do look forward to being able to say,
Yeah.
actually, I don't need this.
Right.
And, you know,
Yeah.
you and you
It's
and
coming,
you.
sister.
And I know it is, you know.
It is. Your
I had-
breakthrough is coming.
Yeah.
I had to straighten some lady out the other day. She was like, "Well, you can't do too much, you know, without
you
a,"
straighten
which is
them
a
out
high
one
school
at a
degree. I was like,
time.
I have
Right.
a college degree and I'm on my way with a master's, but you know, have a great time.
Right.
I have
Like,
two questions for you.
Yes.
Sorry. I have two questions for you. When that moment happened about needing to straighten your hair, was there anyone around who had the reaction Unique had?
right.
No.
Because, like, when I heard that, I was like, do you ever have anyone who's in there in the moment with you to, like, for the room to realize how messed up that
Right.
is and
No.
how important that is?
She works at a country club in Montgomery,
Right.
Alabama. Like,
Unfortunately, even the work dynamic is segregated. We have like a
Yes.
couple of black people that are in the office, and then everybody in the kitchen is black. So, you know, you have that already.
Yeah.
The only other black girl that was there, she has a department head title, and she, I guess, has worked enough in that position and been in that position enough to where she can be like, Unique, oh, I'm going to wear my hair like this, and what you gonna do about it? Because you're not gonna find a better food and beverage director. You're not gonna find a better private. I was just starting off as a receptionist. I was like, and I remember very vividly going home and being so frustrated to the point of tears that
Yeah.
I just got this job. I am able to feed myself and my child, pay rent finally. Like, that was a good feeling, but
yeah.
to what cost?
Right.
You know? So,
Yeah.
my mom and my dad are very old school, kind of
Traditionalist.
traditional. Like, so they're like, girl, you better play this game and get your money. And when you get out there now, you can do what you want to with your hair. You can make your own rules. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it at first because I felt like that was me just conforming and going with the system. But I will say, for my son, I'm gonna play ball, and so that's where it came to for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was COVID handled on your side?
Ooh, okay, so
I need to hear this. This is something I've been interested in.
Alabama. Oh, don't shoot me, folks back home. I'm just gonna tell y'all the truth about y'all. Alabama can be very ignorant, like a lot of places in America. I mean, that's just America.
Even major
Alabama's
cities.
But
saying is
it's-
thank God for Mississippi.
I mean,
Oh, man.
we just a little bit better than them. But Deep South in general it comes with a lot of ignorance. It comes with a lot of just not wanting to know better, honestly, not even wanting to do better. So a lot of people did treat it like Trump treated it. It's a hoax. It's not real. I had COVID back in December, so I can't get it again. Things that weren't true. My mother is a doctor, though. My father is a cancer survivor, but he still goes regularly to his appointments. I wasn't playing no games with it. So I kept my mask on. I definitely did DoorDash for all of my groceries if I could. I think the only time I went out when the pandemic first really hit was for the George Floyd protests. And that was just,
I think it's when we all started
I
to
was
come
like, okay,
back
you know
out.
what?
Right.
I got my mask on. I'm outside, but I'm definitely going to be present and available. And I would like to say more people than not treated it seriously like it should have been. But a lot of people, I remember when they shut down the clubs, they were just having big house parties after that. It just didn't matter.
How was it
Financials, like I said, first 6 weeks you get a $700 stimulus. So it was cool for the first
Faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here.
matter.
How was it financially speaking?
Financially, it was terrible. Like I said, first 6 weeks you get a $700 stimulus. So it was cool for the first few months, actually, even after they stopped, because I saved up with that. But then bills don't stop. Bills actually kind of going up because now I'm in the house more.
Right.
Alabama in June, July, August ain't nothing to play with. So that is going to stay on. My son is home. We watching Bubble Guppies or Cocoa Melon all the time. You know, like electricity bill wasn't nothing nice. And it's not like they took anything off of rent or any other bills. And I had student loans to pay. I got, you know, just bills that were already there. But no incoming money. So when you get to that $250 a week and that's really what you're relying on, it was bad. I think that's why my reaction was the way it was when that happened at my job, that I remember what it was like before this. Do I go back to that or do I just stay down?
Yeah.
That's an important one.
That's real.
Get you on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
All about it.
Oh man, I think we all
They
thought
didn't,
about
They
that.
didn't offer any programs to help with housing, any programs to help with utilities.
Kay Ivy is some
anything like
shit.
that. Yeah, not
That part, what she
because like
said.
in DC they have that, but it's very interesting. Like, what is New York doing coming out of the pandemic?
Even in DC,
Oh,
it's
man.
hard to do. It's hard to get.
It is hard to get, but the program is there at least to apply. Like they don't even have that.
So when I was working at my job in DC for the LGBT youth, Smile, they did amazing for these kids. Like, they got them as much things as they needed. They were giving them like extra money, extra grocery money. Restaurants were like donating food weekly, even maybe twice weekly for them. They really, really did a great job. And like even now the program has been extended for them because it was like, you guys couldn't get anything. So why would we expect that you guys should be ready to leave this program when like the whole year we were in the pandemic. When George Floyd happened, we like facilitated meetings with lawyers so they can know their rights. When they do go protesting, it was really, really great. I was like, wow, you guys are really on it. We didn't stop them from leaving the house. It was a personal choice. But you couldn't come to that office. And I just let them know when like they went out protesting that like, yo, like if you need me, call me, like I'm here. I'll come and get you. Like, you know, if something happens, like take my number. And like even the lawyer was like, here's my number. Like tell them I'm your lawyer to represent you. Yes, I was really excited about that. New York, actually this is my second job in New York. When I first got there, because I believe in outreach and like meeting people where they were, I was really disheartened when I got to the job that I was at and they wasn't doing any outreach at all. Because people were still out in the streets, people were still sleeping under bridges, over bridges, at the subways. Nothing really stopped for New York. And that was really my thing. I'm like, yo, we need to get out there. Like, people still need services. So when I got this job now, that was one thing I said in my interview is like, I want to get out there. Like, I want to be utilized for the talents that I can bring for my community, to my community.
Yeah.
So this organization does a great job. And now we're like 100% open. And they're here. I'm there. We're doing great.
Okay, that's beautiful. I like hearing nice nails, by the way, just so
Oh,
that
thank you. White toenail season.
She is summertime. But this is important because when it comes to intersectionality, especially touching on things like microaggressions, which I think we should touch next, I like to hear what is the community doing for itself and what is the folks outside of the community doing for you guys. Because we all know those microaggressions are going to be there for free regardless. All you got to do is breathe.
For free.
So we'll start with Bradley. I hear some deep sighs over here.
I just come to me last because I like I get real DC when I just think of like all the last year that I've been in New York and like how many times I've been called aggressive, how many times I've been called negative, and I'm just like, one, let me just say, as a gay black man, I always walk into the room as a black woman because I've been raised by them. I see them daily, and I see what every single black woman can do. So when I walk in there, I'm just like, yo, I remember my grandmother, my mother, aunts, cousins, like, yo, no nonsense. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And they really just can't take that. And so, like, when I talk to black women who like, yeah, they call me aggressive, or they say these little things about me, and I'm like, this is some bullshit. Like, this is really ridiculous. I've even called you about
We've had talks.
these
So,
micro.
yeah.
Oh, like I know
That was crazy.
I know my white neighbors was not happy with me. I know the interracial couple down the hall was not happy with me because I was not happy. Like, I was not happy at all, and I let everyone at work and in the building know.
But it shouldn't be that way.
It should not be that way at all. And I did apologize, and some of the people in the building were willing to like sit down and talk and hear me out. And I was willing to hear them out. But it's just like, you have privilege that I don't. And it's really unfortunate that sometimes people who do good work cannot see that. Like, I always tell people in any nonprofit that I work for, I'm just like, when something's upsetting you at work and you don't want to be here anymore, you can leave. You can love, eat, and pray your way through Europe. You can go back to school. You can live with your parents.
Yes.
I don't have that. I mean, I can come live back with my parents, but they're like, yo, you need a job. Like, you can't be here, like, going back to school. Like, you going back to school and working? That's just a luxury I don't have. So I have to be at a job until I find something that an organization that aligns with me, or until I have enough money to start my own. Yeah, it just really gets real. That's when I started listening to my soul of a sister, like, come to work super black.
Even if rain comes not, I will stay here, together with you. A faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here, together with you.
Until I find something that an organization that aligns with me, or until I have enough money to start my own. Yeah, it just really gets me sometimes. Yeah, it gets me real. That's when I started listening to my soul of a sister, like, come to work super black, like.
Talking to your plants a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I talk to my plants daily anyway, because it's just good for the plants and for me and my self-esteem. So.
But what's so interesting, sorry. Okay, here we go. What's so interesting is that, yes, these microaggressions exist, obviously, and they demonize us for our outspokenness or our ability to call basically a spade.
All the time.
However, when it benefits them, then it's like, oh, come on. I know that you're going to execute this thing because you're so strong. You're so diligent. You really, really go for it, you know. And I'm just thinking back to, like I said, my previous employment, where I still interface with my colleagues, you know, my previous ones, I love them. They become my friends. So I hear stories of what is still going on in the streets over there. But it's just so interesting how, you know, again, when it benefits them, and I'm thinking back to my colleagues, you know, they're in positions where they can make changes. But when they go up against management, it's like, oh, we need to write you up. Oh, right. Oh, we need to check, you know, when you coming in, when you coming out, how many breaks you taking. But, you know, but then they'll flip it to be like, oh my gosh, we really need you for this assignment. Can you really collaborate with us to X, Y, and Z? But again, it's just, you know, to benefit them. So
yeah,
it's a bunch of bullshit, but I just...
Yeah, no, I've literally sat down with directors and supervisors and like EDs of nonprofits that I've worked for, and I'm just like, listen, you didn't just find me off the street. I didn't just graduate from college. I am not new to this. I'm very true to this. So you're not going to play me and disrespect me, because the same respect that I give y'all should give to me. And when I say I need transparency and communication and I'm willing to collaborate, Literally, that's all I be asking for. Cause I'm really like self-sufficient. Like, give me the assignment. I know what it is. I could do it. Leave me alone.
And
if
that's what
I
they like about you.
yeah, and if I need help, trust and believe, I will come get help. Cause I don't know everything, and I never said I do. But what I do know how to do is show up for my community.
Right.
That's what they like about us.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Collectively, yes, it's not, clearly we're from different backgrounds, but it's the same.
Yeah.
So it's us.
I think the most demeaning thing that I can hear in the workplace is "You're so smart."
Oh.
We're in the same space. We're all smart. Who is dumb?
Right.
Why would you even say that to me? Don't belittle me. So that's like my biggest microaggression. Like, I know I'm brilliant. Like, I do the work.
Yeah, they hate it when I'm like, I know. Like, that's why you sitting here at my desk with this foolishness. Because you know if anybody could do it, I could do it.
I think we've all heard the basic ones. You're pretty for a black girl.
Or
You're very
a
articulate.
dark-skinned girl.
Or a dark-skinned girl. Or
I love your hair.
yeah, it's
Can I touch
good
Oh.
hair. It's not,
Yeah.
like that whole.
I'm always like, no, I don't know what
I
you
really
mean.
don't. I think the biggest one for me, I don't know if it's necessarily considered a microaggression
It
necessarily.
probably is.
Referring to Black Lives Matter.
Oh,
But y'all kill each other too, so why do y'all get mad when it only is a white person killing the black person? It's like nobody said that
Yeah.
bullshit right there. No, that's not what we said.
yeah.
And we know when black people kill black people, most of the time we go into jail and we gonna get the what?
Life.
Max. Like, I think we all kind of had a sigh of relief when we saw we heard the verdict.
Yes.
The
The
sentence.
sentence.
The sentencing.
22.5 years. I'm cool with that.
And then all the subsequent things that came with it. He has to register as an offender. He can't
Yeah.
have firearms. But even then, I'm not going to lie. And I am one of those people like, prison system needs some kind of, we need to fix it. It does.
Reform.
Oh, yeah.
But I want that man under the jail. I'm not going to lie. I want it. Take him, throw away the key. I don't want to see Derek no more. And I don't want to see anybody who does things like Derek anymore. Of course, black people are going to kill black people. Everybody kills everybody, especially with a certain, proximity and
Right.
community. It's going to
Just the
happen.
topic.
But it's not, when we're talking about somebody with authority, going after a type of individual, that is a whole different conversation.
Right.
And there are organizations that address gun violence in general. So nobody's dismissing this black on black.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
but
no.
I have a story. So when I was in a meeting with two of my supervisors, and this was obviously via Zoom, and this was when Derek Chauvin was like proven guilty, and my fiance was downstairs just like cheering, and my boss goes, "This seems like an important moment for you. You should go celebrate."
Yo.
It's
Mixed
That's-
feelings in the room.
I want to see how you guys react.
Mixed
No.
feelings.
I have
in
a
the
story
room.
for you.
so not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
but that response to me is upsetting because they don't see victories of people in our community being treated right by the justice system as a win for all of us.
Right.
It's only a win for black people, and that's it. Because they know our problem isn't their problem because they're protected correctly
Right.
by the law. And we're protected when there's outrage
Right.
by the law. Like there has to be outrage for the law to work for black people.
Right.
And that's an example because
We
since
still
we've
don't
been
have a hate
here,
crime bill.
that too. Since we've been here, at no point coming up to this panel did I ever tell any of you guys we're going to touch George Floyd. Every single one of you guys at least one time. Have mentioned
Yeah.
it by yourself. And that shows where we all are. That shows what we think about when we're brushing our teeth. Like, is
Yeah.
it going to be us? Is someone going to catch footage of it? Is it going to be my mom, my aunt, and my dad?
Yeah.
I'm scared to have a black child. That's boy.
No, yeah. I think about it as just being black, like being pulled over by the cops. Like, let me put on some Madonna. Let me be super gay. Like, because I just really get fearful. Like, is it like, is being gay protecting me from not being killed or dragged out my car or something like that? Or like, I just get really nervous, like even my roommate cousin, like,
together with you. A faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here, together with you.
I think about it as just being black, like being pulled over by the cops, like, let me put on some Madonna, let me be super gay, like, cause I just really get fearful, like, is it, like, is being gay protecting me from not being killed or dragged out my car or something like that? Or like, I just get really nervous, like even my roommate cousin, like, long story short, he ain't got no license, but he's driving and it like makes me nervous, like, even though he just like comes to the house, which isn't far, it's just like,
Still.
I don't need that on my conscience, and but I don't want to vocally say that to him because I don't want that on his conscience to just be so nervous to, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But like I think about that all the time when he comes over and he drove. I'm just like, yo, I know you live like a few blocks, but it, as we all seen, it only takes a few
Right.
blocks. Only takes you to put the key in that ignition
You
and
don't have to
just
be driving. You could be walking by to your business, like
yeah.
out the door.
So
You
it just
trying to get change for $20.
Right.
yeah, it's so crazy. And my story, a little lighthearted, but still like microaggression. So a few years ago, like Kwanzaa, the last day of Kwanzaa fell on New Year's Eve. So my very white manager gave it to me off and was like, yeah, because I know it's the last day of Kwanzaa. And I'm like, bitch, I don't celebrate Kwanzaa. But like, I'm going to take it off and now I'm going to celebrate Kwanzaa. Like,
Right.
what the hell? Like,
I'm the one that celebrate Kwanzaa. I'm gonna celebrate any Jewish holidays, anything that white people get. I'm gonna get too.
yeah. When she said it, I just was like, okay, like, we've never had that conversation, but you clearly looked at a calendar and seen that. So.
Right.
But that's important when it comes to intersectionality. It's not just that there's not enough conversation. It's that when they do have the conversation, it's very controlled in what's talked about. What are we gonna touch? What are we gonna discuss? What are we gonna just skip over and act like everything is fine and the flowers are still flowers?
Or what are we gonna interrupt you mid-sentence and move on? I'm like, I will walk out the room. Like I'm like, you clearly wasn't ready for this conversation, and they get so offended by it. But I'm just like, I can't say what I need to say, but you can say every single thing you want to say to me, and it's not fair. My mother hates when I say it's not fair at work. She thinks it's so childish. Anyway, but I'm just like, it's not fair, and it's degrading to me to sit here and be interrupted, like me and you like about to fight or something, or like, and I think another microaggression is when they reach out to touch you. I'm always like, do not put your hand on me, because that is a way for you to control my body, and I do not like it. Do not play with me. And that's another thing. They be like, you so aggressive. I'm like, I'm not aggressive, but why you've escalated the situation. And I don't want you touching me.
You're my brain.
Right.
Physical boundaries.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah, this year we just did a breakdown on boundaries about a month ago. Actually, was it the month of March? Was it
I
March?
cannot remember. I don't
I'll have to
know.
Go ahead and
watch
spoil it
that.
so I can look at the mountain video.
Yeah. I think that's it. Honestly, I just wanted to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your experience. Anything you guys want to plug, touch on, discuss. It's up to you. You got 20 minutes.
I
I'm
do.
here for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
my name is Donisha, and your name is Unique.
Yes.
But your name is Bradley,
Yes.
and your name is Jessica. Do you feel that applying for jobs, like you've had to switch up, because I'm currently doing A/B testing for my resume. Like my last name is English, so if I go by Donnie English versus Donisha English, what has been your experience?
So you know what's so funny? It wasn't until I hit like my early 30s when I realized like damn, my name kind of hood. I swear. Like, I went throughout my life, because I always received, like, positive responses, like, oh, your name's unique, oh, that's so unique, you know, all the little jokes that come with it. But it wasn't until I was about to apply to another job that I was like, damn, why my friends ain't never tell me that my name is low-key hood? So,
It coming from the south side.
it coming from, like, y'all, somebody could have tapped me on my shoulder, like, hey, hey, girl. But I mean, I've embraced my name. And like I said, I did have a moment where I was like, you know, what if employers said when they looked at my resume, like, all of these questions, you know, came in flooding.
How did you embrace your name?
I mean, I can't change it. I can't do a little change. I mean, I could, but I can't do a little, you know, cute abbreviation to it or whatever, like, real quick. It is what it is.
I think you made it your brand.
Yeah, I have made it my brand. Yes.
When it comes to finding your Instagram page, or when it comes to discussions I've heard you had, there's always an extra oomph in the way you saying your name and the way people say your name after meeting you.
Yes.
And
so,
they hold on to it.
Yeah. So what I would, you know, you gonna do what you want to do, but my name, and it's all encompassing in terms of just, it's a representation of me and everything that I've gone through. You know what I mean? Like, experiences, whether it was traumatic, where it was, you know, positive, whatever the case may be. Like, that is who was there in those experiences. Unique was there. You know, not whatever I could have come up with to change my name, but that's how I embrace it. That Unique has gotten Unique to where she is today, and she gonna, you know, sail on down to the sunset with that.
Even if rain comes not, I will stay here together with you. A faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here together with you.
I could come up with to change my name, but that's how I embrace it. That Unique has gotten Unique to where she is today, and she gonna, you know, sail on down to the sunset with that. So, but like, that was funny to me, because I was legit in my 30s, like, wait a minute now. It's a little hood, but go ahead.
I just put them on a rubric scale. So if you accept me because of Donnie versus Donisha, then you'll get a call back like a week later. Versus if you accept me as Donisha, then I'll proceed with the interview next. That's how,
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
interesting.
I just
What you got?
I use a lot of fake names.
Okay.
Because me and my father just weren't close. So I'm named after my father.
Okay.
But you know, as I get older, I'm like, I love the whole name, as you guys can see. Like I said, the whole thing. I say it everywhere I go. Yeah, I just think it just was being gay. I'm 29, so I've been gay since second grade, so, or at least knew since second grade. So, like, being gay in the early 2000s, there was no language. I really thought just white people were gay for a long time, because of the representation. Then I thought just only as an effeminate black male, I was supposed to only bottom and, like, date DL guys. And I'm just like, so I used to, like, lie about my name. For a long time, I was only interested in, like, white guys. So it's been like a learning process for me. Like, self-love has been upped a million times in the last like 3 to 4 years for me. Cause I'm just like, yo, I'm Bradley Otis Chambers Jr. Like, you know, it has some weight to it. When I walk in a room, people like, oh, that's Bradley. You don't know Bradley? And I'm like, you don't know Bradley, and it's a shame.
Sucks for you.
Yeah, no, it's just really nice to just, the work that I do, and people like, oh, Bradley, or they don't remember my name. At least they remember the America Sweetheart part. It's just really like, oh, thank you guys. Like, yeah, no, because I started doing it. I started saying America Sweetheart, which I never, ever, when I talk about the intersectionality of my life, saying I'm American, But that just one part always, that America's Sweetheart, stick with me because I'm just who I am. I run my life with grace and humility.
Okay. Is there a reason behind that?
But how I run my life?
No, the American part. Because you and I, we have stories when it comes to that.
I just don't feel like my ancestry starts in America, so I should not claim it. Like, this is not the end or the beginning of my story, of my ancestors' stories, any of it. So I just, as I got older, I'm just like, I don't use African American. I'm black with a capital B. And then an exclamation point.
Yes.
Exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't have a strong connection. Actually, that's so funny. I was just on my date yesterday. We were talking about that. Yeah, I just don't feel a connection to being American at all.
What is that?
What is that?
Yeah, and as I get older and as I like really see like, yo, America doesn't care about black people. Almost a lot of places in the world don't care about black people.
Yeah.
So like, why do I need to claim this?
Yes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. It's your turn. Speaking on names, the weight of a name.
Okay, so my full name is Jessica Pia Owens. My grandfather was named Jessica. Pia comes from my mom's best friend. And growing up, of course, kids are just kids.
Yes.
Pia, you peed on yourself. And I hated it. Like, I remember graduating high school, I didn't put it on my diploma or anything. I hated it. But, you know, getting older, I will say it worked out in my favor for applications. Getting into the room, though, that's
Not
you're
what we
Jessica.
expected.
Okay. Even at my job now, when I'm code switching, you know, Capital City Club Montgomery, this is Jessica speaking. How may I help you? And then they come in like,
Where's
who's the
Jessica?
girl that I was talking to? Where is she? It's me. I'm
Hello.
here.
Yeah.
I will not act like I don't have a privilege with my name, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't really speak too much to
Yeah.
it. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, I guess I'll share a story also. But since we're here, I've never heard your first name before. That was, you know, I value that name. So when you said it, I was like, oh, flood
I
of
don't like
emotions.
people to butcher it, and I really
Yeah.
hate repeating myself.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
no, that's
Please,
real.
yeah.
That's real. So like, I was like, oh, okay. It made me feel like I learned something more outside of just a name. So, and I get it. So I appreciate that. So thank you. My name's Dwight Juice Jones. Juice is not my real middle name, but I don't say my middle name because I use that name for other business ventures.
Your middle name isn't Juice?
But my mom does call me Juice. Like, my mom prefers the name Juice over my actual name.
Oh.
That's how, like, inbred, like, that name of Juice is in my community in New Jersey.
And also,
So-
Is it a
Yeah.
childhood nickname? Because
Yeah, I was gonna ask where it came from.
It's a high school nickname.
yeah, my high school nickname was not.
I didn't bring it here. My parents brought it here. My parents brought the nickname Juice to DC, and it spread around my college. And then after I got out of college, it spread.
Even if rain comes not, I will stay here. A faint clap of thunder. Even if rain comes not, I will stay here, together with you.
Yeah, my high school nickname was not.
I didn't bring it here. My parents brought it here. My parents brought the nickname Juice to DC, and it spread around my college. And then after I got out of college, it spread to the other friend groups, and it didn't stop. So like, I don't go against the wave. I just that's it. That's it right there. So when it comes to job applications, I don't know. I think I'm a bit weird. I'm not. I am. My parents are proud of me, but I'm not what they wanted. in terms of like, what are you doing for work?
I mean,
What is your 9 to 5? No,
all of our parents.
But you got to touch it though. You got to touch on it
All
because
of our
like
parents.
that's the first conversation we have. Like when my mom calls me, she knows about this work. My mom follows me heavy. Like when you go on my IG, she's underneath
she's
the
popped in
post.
lives.
You feel what I'm saying? And she's in live too.
Right.
But it's still like, well, you know, when are you gonna get a real job? When are you gonna put this up and, you know, just go work in the hospital? And I'm like, nah, that's not what my work is, Mom. It's not.
That's a very
it's not
Caribbean
one
parent.
place. It is.
Yes.
Work,
But
be
you
a nurse.
gotta remind them it's not one place. It's like, but you got the name, you know, you take it with you, and like I'm the equivalent of keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh, man.
I realize that a lot of my friends, family, and community, they see all the work that I do, and they're like, you're doing so much, you're making such a great change. But for me, in my bubble and knowing what I know, it's like, am I making a great change? I know I'm making change, but like when it's not what you want it to be or how you need it to be for your community to make a long change in terms of the blocks falling and following each other, you're kind of just like, it's a start.
But it's a start. Most people aren't starting.
Right.
Yes,
Most
and
people
I
want to
keep that in
start.
mind. I keep that in mind. But when it comes to my name, Dwight Jones, like, I asked my dad, I was like, hey, when it comes to our grandparents, can we have a discussion? He said, what do you mean? I was like, my name's Dwight. Where did you guys get Dwight? He's like, it's from your grandfather. I was like, okay, cool. Where did he get that name from? In Jamaica. Where did he get that name from? Well, you might have some Welsh connections. What? Welsh?
The same with Bradley. I'm like, where did Bradley come from? And he swears it's his father's name, who I've never met because he died
And
while I was
that's
born.
the stories. That's the stories for us.
And then it's like, we're in Jamaica,
Yeah.
we're in like St. Catherine was like there a Bradley at. Like I'm always like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, so we're always curious, but when it comes to the scrutiny of getting a job, I don't think we go through what a lot of people with other names go through at all.
Yeah,
They see a Bradley, they see a Dwight, and when we show up, as long as we get the scripts right, all right, you know, they see
yeah.
they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the scrutiny for you guys
Right.
is probably way different. And I think about that. Like I think when people mispronounce people's names on purpose.
Oh
I think
my
about
gosh.
I
That's
think
the
about
biggest form of microaggression.
when people change your name to something short for themselves because they're like, it's easier. I don't need to work
Right.
on it. And it's like, all right, well, what do I do on the inside or outside? Like, do I act blackety black or do I just like make it happen for them? Like, hey, there's this better opportunity here.
I go to is blackity black. I'm like, it's Bradley.
Yeah. But then you take it a step further because I'm big and black. I'm not just black. I'm like, you can see me 3 blocks away. Oh, that's Juice walking. How you know it's his walk?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So like,
The
I
same.
know that my words have more impact than my size because I'm expected to beat the shit out of people. I am. A lot of jobs have reached out. Juice, we'd love to have you for security. Now I'm a manager. I manage Velvet. It's like, but you pay me correctly and give me the right position. And then it's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
So the name is important. Like the struggle you guys may have gone through, that doesn't take away from me. I keep that in mind. But we're so much more than just the names that we're given.
Yes.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because I've been through quite a few of them. You said something really interesting that I wanted to just hear everyone's response to. Paying you with your worth.
It takes, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So just being a DJ, I was like, I still have imposter syndrome, so I still don't know how to price myself. But now I'm getting to the point where this is my baseline, and if you can't afford it, then just let me know when there's a bigger budget. Like, COVID has made me not rely on DJing so much. So if I'm doing a gig, it's because I truly want to do it. Like, I love DJing my ass off, for sure. But you're not about to risk my life for $50 an hour. You got me fucked up. Period. But just like you getting rid of that imposter syndrome and knowing what you're worth, like, that's what everybody should strive to do. And like that number that you come up with, multiply it by 3.
Yeah.
Because I love giving out outlandish numbers. Like negotiating, you got to talk me down. Tell me why I don't deserve this. If you can't talk me down, then my number is my number.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody want to add to that? You know, we could add to that. This is all to add.
It's so funny. I was most recently watching like a short YouTube documentary about a stripper named Miyoki from Tampa. And she really made me think about it because she's like, yo, I can make...
Is this her voice?
Yeah, she was like, I can make $16,000 in an hour. Why would I go home for less than that with somebody from the club? Like, if you can't afford that. Now, I'm not saying I'm charging $60,000 for any of my services, but what I'm saying is like, yo, I know what I make at work now.